This part's actually kind of important. What's going on, YouTube? We got Tweyen here, the new character in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. She's pretty sick, probably my new favorite character. First, I'll go over how to get her. So there is the Knick-Knack Shack. You're going to find her in Treasure Trade. Now there's going to be 2 crewmate cards here, one for Saifon and the other for Tweyen. I already got Tweyen. You'll need 3 Supreme Weapon Essences. Now you can get these 2 ways. One way is to convert Revenant Medallions. The Revenant Medallions you get from Lock Horns in Proud Mode. It's the second from the bottom right above Old Boy Lucilius. You get 1 as a first clear reward, and then you can get another as a drop. I found that it's about 1 in 4 runs that you get one, so you'll need to do this about 12 times. But you also get about 4 of these. Now, one of the downsides with the new characters is that they only have 2 weapons. One is the Desolation Crown Bow, which is the Ascension weapon, which is what you want. The only downside is this one, you have to use 1 Supreme Weapon Essence and 5 Crown of Laments. Now, the Crown of Laments aren't that bad to get. However, I do think the quest is bugged right now, so this part's actually kind of important. Now, this trophy in battle, the Behemoth Slayer, I was not able to acquire any of the crowns until after I claimed this trophy. I don't know if it's a glitch, I don't know if my drop rates are terrible, and that is going to be for the Ascension weapon on Saifon or Tweyen. Now this new quest, Lock Horns, it's not that hard. It's more difficult than your average quest, but it's not that difficult. So for every Supreme Weapon Essence that you get from the trade lady, you'll need 30 Revenant Medallions. And eventually with enough clears from the Behemoth, you'll be able to get Tweyen or Saifon. Now we can actually go into how to use Tweyen. Go into Tweyen's skills first. So the first one that you'll definitely want is called Depravity. This one fires a whole bunch of arrows. The longer you hold down the arrows and the more arrows you hit, the more debuffs you can stack on the monster. You want to maximize the amount of debuffs that you stack on the monster with this skill.
1,000 cuts!
At the beginning of battle, 2 Crown Strife is another skill that you're going to want. It prolongs the debuffs for a very long time. You can only activate it once per encounter, but it's definitely worth it. Now, if you can, you'd want to coordinate with your team for anyone else that does debuffs so that you can stack your Depravity debuffs and they can stack their debuffs, and then you can cast 2 Crown Strife on the target, and it will increase duration of all of the debuffs on the target. And if you have the maximum amount of debuffs on the target, you can do massive amounts of damage. Now then you want to follow that up with Clincher, and this increases the amount of Clincher damage. There's a damage cap issue, and that this is only going to do about 1 million damage. Once you get the Warpath Sigil for it, it'll do more, and I'll go over that later. These 3 skills are the skills that you're basically going to want on your character, and you can fill the last slot with whatever you want, really. Now, I'm not a huge fan of attack buffs because of how damage caps work in this game, but the mirror image isn't bad. This one does fine damage, this one does fine damage, and then this one will give you stout and increases the amount of which you gain your gauge at. Now, the way she works is that you basically perform attacks in any succession, really, to level up your gauge. And once your gauge is at maximum level or any level that you want to spend it at,
Focus. Pierce them.
now all of the arrows will just do the same amount of damage, so the higher you have your multi-lock hail gauge at, the more damage you're just going to do. The better your damaging combos are, the more you're going to gain your gauge. The most damaging combat you can do in the training yard doesn't really matter, because once you fight a large creature or any creature, you're going to notice that a different attack is better. 2 regular attacks followed up by a combo finisher. And you can see on the training dummy you miss a lot, but it's a fan. Now the arrows on this one do a little bit less, but you cast a lot of them. And you can see that there's not really a particular arrow set. The more you attack, the more level gauge you're going to gain. Don't worry about trying to optimize the perfect order of attacks against the monster. It's just not going to happen. Now, your standard attack is going to have 3 different kind of attacks. First one, just 1 arrow. The second one is actually 3 damage ticks, even though it's 2 arrows. And then the third one, even though you're firing 3 arrows, I actually do think that this is a bug, but I can't tell for certain, but it should be, because you're firing 3 arrows and you're getting 1 damage tick out of it. So you can input your combo finisher inside of any of these 3 attacks. Every time you input a combo finisher, you can move around the stage, like so, and you really want to use this to your advantage. Now you can constantly press triangle, but it doesn't do that much damage. Now the pros to her, maximum maneuverability. You can do good amount of DPS with her. She's not going to be like one of the biggest DPSers in the game, but she is probably the most maneuverable character in the game. Her link attack is going to rank in the highest tiers of link attacks.
Incoming.
And then once you have maximum multi-lock hail,
Eat
this is where a lot of your damage is going to come from.
Take this.
Her SBA is one of the coolest SBAs in the game.
Got them. My eyes see all.
And to be honest with you,
And now there's no escape. Asteroid Jaeger!
it just makes a lot of the other SBAs look poo-poo, you know? So whenever you're in,
Focus.
you're just going to want to spend
through.
all of your multi-hail locks.
Here goes.
You get unlimited
Here's the-
expenditures, and
Incoming.
this is how you're going to
Watch
get all
out.
your damage done. As far as a build with her, it's just going to be like every other build. I found myself having an issue reaching damage cap. Whenever I unlock her Ascension weapon, I won't need Concentrated Fire, and I'll be able to fill this with another perk. I was doing some stun power damage testing. It's the only reason it's on her right now. You're definitely going to want the Dark Huntress Awakening Sigil. After each multi-lock hail, you get 30% chance to trigger supplementary damage. Now you're gonna think that not having a Terminus weapon for her kind of sucks. She has a 3rd character-specific sigil called the 2 Crown Boundary. Now it's really hard to acquire. You're gonna need 7 of the Supreme Weapon Essences, which is essentially like 30 Behemoth Bites. Ridiculous. But once you get it, it's essentially a Terminus weapon. As far as their masteries go, they don't have 6 weapons like everyone else, but a lot of the other stuff is just inherent on the character. As far as the new characters go, they're both really good, and I can't acquire Soifan yet, but when I do, I will do a tutorial on him as well. I like her voice actor. I do have to say that her Fate episodes are meh, because they're not really, I don't think her backstory is that unique. I do think there's some bugs happening right now that they have to tweak out and fix a little later, but as far as the update goes, it is really cool. All of the new sigils are really cool, and something new and very exciting. You can transmute up to 30 sigils at a time, and you can transmarvel up to 30 sigils at a time as well. Now, if you don't want to do all that to acquire the character, you can just get the character voucher for $5. This will give you 3 of the essences and 5 Damascus ingots, as well as 1 of his sigils, even though you're just going to try to grind for the Awakening sigil anyway. Because in all actuality, it takes about an hour and a half to get your first character. Your second character is going to take a little bit longer, but I'm just throwing the option out there. The gold pack is kind of cool though. That was Tweyen though. If you like it, like it. If you dislike it, tell me why. I'm going to be playing Tweyen more, and I'll learn the intricacies of her in and out. If anything changes drastically, I'll release an advanced guide on her, but she's not really that complicated to use. She just takes some time to get used to. Try out Soifan, try out Tweyen. Let me know which one you think is best. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Let me know. Also, we all know it's really hard to get some matches in this game, so if you are looking for people to play Grand Blue with and you can't find matches online because there aren't any, go ahead and hop in my Discord. Links in the description.